What's up, Facebook? John Steele here with Team Steele San Diego Homes here in sunny San Diego. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. You can see out there, rush hour's just starting right now, and I'm here to talk to you guys. We're going to be starting a new video series. It's going to be called Get Real with Real Estate, and basically we're just going to be answering some common questions that we get from clients and just people, things that we hear asked every day in the real estate industry, whether it be, from clients, from agents, from investors, whoever it is that's asking it, just the things that we hear consistently pop up throughout, our jobs as real estate agents. So the topic that I'm going to be touching on today, it's going to be Zestimates, and just generally all those different websites that offer you kind of, find out what your home's worth, and they'll spit out an answer. And I just want to touch on those because it's something that comes up often on both the seller and the buyer side. So I'm going to specifically kind of point out Zillow with Zillow's Zestimates, as it's one of kind of the most popular platforms that people use. And basically what I want to touch on is the fact that Zillow estimates, while it can be a great tool for buyers and sellers, it's often more misleading, and it's usually honestly more incorrect than correct. And basically it can often just cause some issues and leave both buyers and sellers kind of dissatisfied or disappointed in some way. So touching kind of on the first part with sellers, we meet with sellers all day long, and we've had a few listing appointments where we've come up with a value of the home and they're like, oh well, Zillow says my home's worth this, and it's like, okay, well, let's look at what Zillow's really pulling in here. So the Zillow's estimates, they're basically based off of historical sales data, which sounds great in theory. Zillow essentially scrapes the tax records and the MLS and all that stuff, to see homes that have sold recently. The problem with that is Zillow doesn't really get the full picture. The algorithm that they use can't really grasp all the factors at play. There's so many different things involved in a home that can determine the value. Obviously, everybody hears location, which that's a huge thing, but there's so much more to it than just that. So maybe we've met with a client and the Zillow estimate says, my home is worth $500,000, and it's like, when we really dig deep and look at it, it's like, really, it's 400,000. And the thing there is, maybe there were some really nice homes that sold nearby. Maybe a home sold nearby that was 1,500 square feet, just using that as an example, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and maybe it, that sold for $500,000. And then this neighbor thinks, oh, my home is 1,500 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It must be worth $500,000 as well. The thing that it doesn't take into account is, maybe that home had a brand new kitchen, maybe it had a brand new bathroom, maybe it's got a sick view, maybe this other particular home that this client thinks is worth so much more, maybe they're backed up to a freeway, maybe they are backed up to a railroad, maybe they're on a busy street, maybe they're near right next to a parking lot or a shopping center. It's things like that that Zillow can't really grasp. So like I was saying, it's so much more than just this home sold in this location, so my home that's a couple houses down or whatever is going to sell for the same amount. You kind of have to compare apples to apples, and often Zillow's really comparing kind of apples to oranges to bananas to whatever. So it basically it's a friction point for sellers. It's disappointing to them when they're like, oh, online, I'm really excited for that 500,000, and then an agent comes in and kind of hits them with reality, and it's like, no, it's really 400,000. So it's difficult not only as an agent but as a seller to kind of get over that hump, as it's often misleading. So it works the same way on the buyer side too. We all the time, a buyer will find an awesome home for them, right? And they're super excited and they want to write an offer, and they come to us, asking what the offer price is, and we'll talk to them and kind of run comps and give them the information and kind of guide them through that. And then sometimes it comes up and it's like, oh well, I looked on Zillow and it says it's worth this much less or whatever, and it's the same thing. It's misleading because it's not taking all the information into account. So really, to kind of I guess give you the flip side to that, the most accurate way to find the value of your home is by looking at what in the industry is called comps, and that's short for comparables. So basically what that is you're looking for homes that are the most similar to whatever home that it is you're analyzing, that have sold within ideally the last like 3 to 6 months. That's the most ideal case scenario. Obviously, if there's not a lot of activity in the area, or there's something maybe unique about the home, or something where you just can't find a lot of comps, you may have to go back further. Just keep in mind, the further you go back, the less accurate they are. But basically what I was saying, you want to compare apples to apples. So if you're looking at well-maintained home that's 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, you only want to be comparing them to well-maintained homes that are 1,500 square feet that may be sold within, the closer the better. If it's on the same street, that's ideal, but we try to keep it within about a half mile to a mile, and then take into account other things as well. Like it might be within a half mile, but maybe it's on the other side of the highway, and the other side of the highway might be a totally different neighborhood with a totally different price point than the one that you're comparing. So it's little things like that you really have to keep your eye out for, and that's one of those things that a great agent can help you with, is just knowing the areas and where those different pockets are, and what different pockets support what different values and all that. And comparable properties, that's something that we run all day, every day for investors, for sellers, for buyers, for people that are just curious about what the value of their home is. And it's something that they can often, agents can be misleading. Agents can kind of skew them different ways if they're maybe not acting in the most ethical manner. Maybe they're trying to prop up the value or drive it down for some reason. But if you find a great agent who really knows what they're doing, knows the area, they can pretty accurately give you a great idea of what your home's worth. And kind of going back to the Zestimates, I'll share an article in the comments below, and you guys can check it out. It's an article from 2015, and it's really interesting because it was basically kind of analyzing what I'm talking about right now, and it found that on average across the entire country, Zillow estimates were off about 8%. So that might not sound like that much, but if you think about it, in a $500,000 home, that's a $40,000 difference. And the thing is, the higher the price point in the market you get, or the higher value markets, for instance, like San Diego, they're often more inaccurate than that 8%. So, it lists a few examples, places like San Francisco, places like New York. Some of these places are, 10 to 20% off in value, which, when you're dealing with high price points, you're talking 50, 100K, almost 200K sometimes, depending on the area, that Zillow's going to be off on those. So it's really important that you find a great agent that knows the area, can run comps, can give you a solid idea of what this home's actually worth, because one of the biggest key factors to have a successful listing and selling your home is pricing it right. You want to get people through the door right away, and ideally have buyers competing against other buyers as opposed to a buyer just competing against the seller. So yeah, if you are in San Diego and you have, you're wondering what your home's worth, or maybe that home that you're looking to buy, or you're an investor or whatever, if you're just curious about a certain home's value, reach out to us. We run comps, like I said, all day, every day. And we'd love to help you out and find you the value of that home. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Like I said, I'll share that link to that 2015 article as well. And yeah, keep an eye out for some more live videos with more kind of questions that we'll be answering. This is the first one of many, so yeah, shoot me questions, guys. Hope you got something out of this, and yeah, have a great day.